Is it Dad.AI?
Dad.AI. This is Dad.AI.
Now say it really clearly. This is Dad.AI.
I can't do that.
Try it.
This is Dad.AI.
Yeah, it is.
Dad.AI. This is
Welcome to Dad.AI, the #1 podcast at the intersection of tech and parenting. Jakey boy, got some exciting news this week. You know, for those who have not been following, tuning in, launched a Substack, or we're big writers these days for people that want to check out YouTube or Spotify, or you like editorial, you can check out the new Substack. We're going to be introducing maybe some guests coming up, maybe a community meetup. Who knows? What else you got in store for me?
I mean, this is the 10th episode. Who could have ever imagined that we would get 10 episodes in 10 weeks, 10 of the best weeks of my life with you, and we're just getting started. Look,
I think
and we have full-time jobs and parent.
And we parent on the side. Yeah, it's been fun, and I'm extremely thankful and grateful for you.
Yeah, me too. Right back at you.
So,
All right.
and we get into this week.
Well,
Let's get into another fun round of Bull versus Bear.
Bull versus Bear. I like this. This is where, if I'm recalling correctly, this is where you and I kind of pick a topic and take both sides of it. And sometimes I'll be really spiteful and force you to take bull, despite your bearish tendencies. And then other times, like today, I think we'll just kind of go into our swim lanes that we're comfortable in. And I'll go bull and you go bear. So are you ready for topic number 1, Brian?
Roll Tide.
All right. Topic number 1 is AI-powered snack bots. Does AI have a role to play as a kitchen assistant for kids? So specifically, allowing AI to dictate nutrition and food decisions for your kids. Brian, do you want AI to be making the nutrition decisions for your children?
This is where I think I brought up smart home. Definitely wigs me out. Like, I think this also comes back to, as we've talked about, the whole sycophant conundrum. If your kid is saying to the bot or the AI that they only want sugary snacks, they only want cookies, they only want candy, well, maybe at first AI is going to be like, you need some greens, you need some produce, you need some, fruits and vegetables and so on and so forth. But after you keep pushing it, does it start to appease you? Does it start to, give you those sugary, savory, meals and treats and snacks? And so I personally don't think you need to outsource this. Like, I think one of the use cases in the kitchen is, hey, I have XYZ in the kitchen. What can I make with these ingredients? You don't need to outsource your nutritionist or your dietitian to AI to help address your kids' whims and needs in the kitchen.
Yeah. Like, I think that I will too often, like Eden will too often ask me, like, can I have one of those rice cakes that she really loves? And I'll sometimes be like, hey, Lauren, can you have a rice cake? And that totally like disempower, like removes my power, and it is a very bad look for me. And I think similarly, if we defer to a super intelligent being to make some of these nutrition decisions, you're right. It's very different than, hey, I have carrots and zucchini and ground beef, help me whip something up. This is more of like the mental load of actually like shopping and, architecting the nutrition experience for your kids. However, none of us, and I would put myself and probably you in like the upper echelon of like understanding what the importance of protein or, like fiber and some of these kind of nutritional profiles for kids. Like, none of us are experts. We're all busy. And I do think that as much as I try to be thoughtful, like I'm not all knowing, and I don't have the ability to be holistic in every decision I make. And sometimes I'll just be lazy and make a decision that feels easy in the short term, but is probably not great in the long term. And so, in terms of like your sycophant prompting stuff, like that all is or will be or should be solvable with guardrails. But in terms of the actual like outcome here, I do think that I'm only so good, and I'm probably better than average at figuring out what is actually healthy and what do my kids need at every age in order to like maximize their brain development and all that kind of stuff.
That's where I think if you have a parent dictating how the prompts are and, again, asking AI or the robot to say, I want to feed my kid a more vegetarian diet or pescatarian diet. What are the nutrients? What are some of the dishes that I can make them? Yes, I think it's useful. To have my kid going up and saying, I want cookies every 5 minutes, that's useless. And it's just not going to lead to the best nutritious outcomes.
I feel like you're envisioning like that device where like the dog can like go up and it has like a motion sensor. It'll give the dog a treat when it goes up to it. Like, I feel like you're envisioning a very specific implementation of this that maybe is the future, but also like is only like one way you could like architect your kitchen around it. Right?
Isn't that like Pavlov's dogs of like, it knows exactly how, or like when to get if you tap on the treat, you get a treat or whatever. Yeah, I do envision that. And yes, I do think that AI can certainly make our kitchens more sophisticated and probably better tasting. I just don't think the kid needs to be dictating it.
Well, have you ever heard of like the paperclip maximizer, like thought experiment in AI? It's like if you told like an AI system that their only goal was to create paper clips, it would eventually lead to the end of humanity because, initially it would just, create paper clips from the available materials. Then it would start to like reroute the supply chain to get more paperclip materials. Then if humans ever tried to stop it, it would view that as counter to its goal of creating paper clips. And it would, stop the humans from stopping it. It would replicate itself. It's like if you tell your bot that your kid needs more fiber, it will relentlessly attack the problem of giving your kid fiber. And at some point, your kid will be 99% fiber and 1% human. So yeah, sure. That like
you just painted my bear case.
Yeah, that's like
I rest my case.
That's a science fiction story. But yeah,
I rest my case.
Welcome. All right. Number two, I love this one, especially now that I have 2 kids. AI as the bringing the end to sibling rivalry. AI as the arbiter of sibling communication, the automated peacemaker. Do we want to have in our house some sort of, that thing I'm not going to ALEXA type device that's passively listening, that can detect arguments between siblings and can become like that arbiter that will help adjudicate and de-escalate arguments between siblings? So Brian, do you want AI to be the ultimate arbiter of sibling communication?
No, shocker.
Me either.
But I grew up with 2 sisters, and I think having them to be able to understand sharing, how to understand give and take, and almost compromise, I think it's super important. We were with a family last weekend where they have 4 kids, and they said at any one point in time, there's an upset child in our household, always, because there's always a disagreement. And I think that's actually healthy because kids have to understand letdowns and disappointment and how to overcome certain challenges with their sibling, because you take those learnings, you take that insight and replicate that in any area of your life, whether or not that's in the workplace, in the school, so on and so forth. So I think it's super valuable for a kid to understand how to navigate disagreements and be able to overcome them in a healthy way.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna surprise you and not take the bull case here, because I can't in good faith take a bull case. I mean, I could straw man it, but like you're right, like tiger parents, like kids will never learn how to self-regulate if a parent gets involved in every argument, and this is just like the same thing times 2. And like Eden's really into Daniel Tiger right now. And she'll get mad at, she doesn't really get mad at Joni because he's just a blob, but like she'll get mad at us. She'll be like, "Girl, I'm mad. Take a deep breath and count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4." And like self-regulate herself through this like mechanism that she's created for herself. And that's a very like, obviously young kid way of doing it. But like that shit, it is so critical to living that like, I think that in similar to that Daniel Tiger tactic, if two kids like realized they were being a rational argument and were like, hey, George, will you come like help us talk this out? And like it was a pull rather than a push. Like I could get down with that. I guess that would be my bull case, is like, let the kids bring in the third party if they want to, including bringing parents in, but like, don't force that on them just because like an automated peacekeeper, I don't like, because I think it just removes some of their autonomy and will long-term hurt them.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. But say, so we agreed.
We agreed. First time for everything. Episode 10, we finally agree on something.
All right, I'll tell everybody about this. All right, Brian, those were fun, but it's a big day today in the world of Dad AI newsflash. So beep, 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 beep.
Big flash, right? I think it's important to, people might hear news and they're like, this is not so relevant from an AI perspective, or not so relevant from a parenting perspective when you see that there's a robot in manufacturing. But we tried to, distill these down into layman's terms so that you understand the impact in your household. And so here's just a few topics that are inevitably going to impact you in some way, shape, or form. And first things first, this one's for Jake's household. And this is Waymo for teens. And the press briefing says, Waymo announced yesterday, that is offering accounts for teens ages 14 to 17, starting in Phoenix, Arizona. And beginning on Tuesday, parents in Phoenix can use their Waymo accounts to invite their teens into the program, pairing them together. Once their account is activated, teens can fully hail an autonomous ride by themselves. This is a big one for you. I know you're geeked about this. You're probably hoping that they reduce the age from 14 down to 4 so that Eden can hail a ride.
Yeah, when you said Waymo for teens, I was like, but where's Waymo for babies? No, I mean, this is so good. And the fact that there's no creepy driver in the front seat makes me feel better, not worse. And the fact that they are putting the right guardrails around it to ensure transparency and support and all that stuff, in my opinion, is so good. And I think this is like a no-brainer for especially for 14 to 17-year-olds. Like they can physically get out of the car if they need to. They can speak and articulate their needs if they need to. And like, I think like everything will go this way. LA just introduced like VW bus Waymos, which I'm very excited about. And like this is in my mind, clearly the future.
For sure. And it's funny you say the bus is, I actually saw some parents on X like clamoring that, they can't wait for their kids to get picked up from school from Waymo, and, after school, like basketball practice and baseball practice. Like, yeah, it's, we're on the precipice of that time where your kids are going to get picked up from school from a Waymo bus or Waymo, automobile. So we're there. We're here.
So Ryan, if you had a 14-year-old today, would you put them in a Waymo?
Fortunately, I got 12 years to make that decision. Yeah, at that age, I think it's interesting. Like, I absolutely think, specifically the parent linking. Yeah, I think we have reached that point where I would much prefer autonomous vehicle over a random stranger driving my child.
So Brian, you said you would put a 14-year-old by themselves in Waymo, but you also told me a couple weeks ago that you would not put your 2-year-old in Waymo with you. Is that true?
Yeah, how fast is AI changing, Jake? Things are changing on a daily, minute by minute basis. And so I evolve. I am definitely coming to terms with that decision.
So Brian, you would.
And I'm taking her, so long as there's a car seat, hell yeah. Like, yeah, I'm going to try that. I'm going to go on that adventure.
So would you like to?
I'll ride on that roller coaster.
So when you voted in both Lauren's and my polls against me, you'd like to change your vote, is what you're saying?
I might be siding with Jakey boy after all.
Okay, here we go. Today is a good day. All right, let's go to topic number 2. And this one I am incredibly passionate. Do you want me to kick it off?
Fire away.
One thing that I like sports, not as much as most people, but I sport at times. And the whole like referee, umpire, judge part of it has always vexed me a little bit, especially like in football where like game defining decisions
For sure.
are made due to human error. And football's come actually a really long way in terms of automation on that. But like the news here is that after nearly 150 years, Wimbledon will, for the first time, I think probably using IBM, frankly, replace line judges with AI cameras. And like, this is like the most nothing burger news thing ever, because I mean, the tennis balls are going at 100 to 150 miles an hour, I think. And whether they touch the line or a little bit over or under the line, like to expect a human to be able to see that with their eyeballs is just crazy. And so line judges feels like, more so than copywriters, like the most AI at risk jobs. And so there was a track record of bad decisions, of bad calls, of balls in or out that were not. And that led to what to me feels like an incredibly easy decision to remove the subjectivity from this and make it a truly objective sensor-based decision. And I'm super happy about this. What do you think?
Look, I think the big call out at Wimbledon
Wimby.
was the snafus, right? Like there was several instances where let me call it AI-powered electronic line calling systems, ELC, had malfunctions where, like in one instance, it stopped working for almost 6 minutes. And so, yes, you're going to have these malfunctions. And to your point, like you're going to have human malfunctions. I think long-term, these AI-powered systems are absolutely going to, if not replace, maybe augment a referee's job. And so we might go from a point in time, like I think Wimbledon maybe ripped the Band-Aid off too quickly with like going from 6 line judges to 0 really quickly. I think what we'll start to see in like football and basketball and MLB are even seeing it, where we go from maybe 3 umpires or 5 umpires to down to 2, because they get some augmentation from an AI-powered assistant or referee. So I think, yeah, absolutely, long-term, this has merit. But yeah, at Wimbledon, there's a lot of uproar that this was unfair and AI stole the game from different players. So
Yeah.
and we'll see how this plays.
I totally missed a really important point here, which is like, it wasn't like they didn't have sensors before. But this is actually very similar to like the Waymo versus Tesla debate, where Waymo uses sensors and Tesla uses cameras to run their AI. And I think everyone, including Waymo actually recently, in a paper they came out with, agrees that vision it is the best way to do any of these kind of things. It's just hard to do it for a self-driving car at scale accurately, whatever. But like in this case, like using a high fidelity camera, letting an AI read a camera versus relying on a system of sensors that could have malfunctions, et cetera. Like that is a really important distinction, because it goes from one is objective but fall written to basically having, you always have the fallback of the recording. So that's really important. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, basketball, they go to at the last 2 minutes, they have the right to go to the booth, and the booth can, like, it's a combination of human intervention and AI to see, if someone was stepping on the line, if the ball spun, like they have some human combined with technological innovation that helps streamline some of those decisions. Wimbledon just went a little too fast, too furious, but again, it absolutely referees long term. I don't know, maybe in children's sports. Well, our referee is going to go away. I don't know.
Well, and like that's I'll play it. So in the last 2 minutes of a basketball game, if someone travels, like a little bit of a travel, or a little bit of a double dribble or something, like an AI will call everything, right? Or will call it whatever level of sensitivity you define it to. And sometimes like you want the human to be there to be like, do you really want to decide this game on a travel, or do you want to let them play? Or soccer is a great example of that, where it's almost always like, was that really a tackle, like a legit tackle or not? And so then you go down to like kids sports, like, do you really want to call every kid's double dribble? Like, I don't think so. Is it?
Context, as we've talked about, context is super important. And right now we kind of miss that in most things, which kind of addresses the third one that I actually,
Talk to me.
I'm not a musician by any means.
You?
But I thought it was a very important topic. My wife used to play music, big piano person. She also played the trombone.
She's a big
Surprising.
big pianist.
Surprising. I actually tried to get her to play the trombone at her wedding, but that was a miss. But anyway, so there's this new group called the Velvet Sundown, who's an indie psych rock band. And within a matter of weeks, they got over 850,000 listeners on Spotify, and they're blowing up. People are praising the music as the next Beatles, and again, a lot of consumer reports are poking at it of, is this real or AI generated? And the band hasn't come out and said anything about, the consumer reports are wrong, but there was a technology used, according to the music streaming app Deezer, which uses its own tool to identify AI-generated content. And they determined that 100% confidence the Velvet Sundown tracks were created using AI. Now, I think that this is a concern purely from, again, a parent perspective of, at what point in time are you going to teach your kid to play instruments? We all know the psychological impact of them learning how to play an instrument and having some artistic, creativity and imagination is super important as they develop. But are you gonna be the household that says, you know what, maybe you should build your next album using the computer by prompting AI versus, you know what, maybe you should sit in front of the piano and learn how to read the lyrics or the music that's on this paper copy?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, there's this amazing story about Bob Dylan, the first time that he went electric, and how much uproar that caused with him playing the electric guitar from the folk community. There's of course the electronic music movements of the 90s to 2000s, and to me this is just another iteration of this. And I'm definitely a bull here in terms of music is music. If it sounds good, if you enjoy it, does the process really matter? And frankly, that being said, I think to do the process well, you have to know music. With electronics music, a lot of it samples, piano or whatever it might be. And you have to have the right ear. You have to understand. You often have to create the right music to make it sound good, et cetera. And so I think in this case, I don't know if you play with Suno at all, but Suno's amazing. You can create a pretty good song with zero work and zero capability, but it's not a great song. And so Velvet Sundown, I don't know, I've not listened to this stuff, but if it actually, did as well as it did, let's give it some credit. They created something that was unique that people enjoyed, unless they ripped off someone else, unless it's a copycat. How it was created matters less to me than what it is.
Well, that's why I'm perplexed at the 100% confidence of I know that this is AI.
Well,
how the hell do you know?
Those things are always a little bit questionable. But if it is, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, touche. I know you're a fan of our community spotlight this week. You want to break it down, or you want me to?
You brought it to me. You break it down. I'll give you my reaction.
All right. Look, I'm actually, you said I'm mostly bear. I've been pretty bullish lately. I'm pretty excited about the space we're living in. And so Community Spotlight this week was brought to a woman. Her name is Lonnie Asaf. She's brand communications and marketing at Anthropic. But she talked about her favorite Claude technique, which is building a board of brains within projects. And so what she has done is you can create a Claude project or Anthropic Claude project to ultimately create different people's brains. And so one of the use cases that she builds is she builds a customer brain, a CMO brain, and an influencer brain. And she provides each one of those contexts. So for the customer brain, for example, she says interview transcripts, support tickets, product feedback. And then she provides some, project instructions. So here's a new product messaging I'm workshopping. And so we're interested in targeting this type of customer. We are trying to engage them with this type of behavior and with giving them this type of product. And so while this is relevant for the workspace of giving 3 different board of advisors of sorts, I think this is relevant for personal use cases because you extrapolate this out of give me my tax advisor brain, give me my financial advisor brain, give me my health supervisor brain, give me my, parenting coach brain. And so you could build your own personal board of advisors and leverage them at a moment, right? Like whether or not you're doing tax planning for 2026 or financial planning for 2026, family planning where you're trying to expand, your family and you're trying to figure out budgets. Like I think the board of advisors for your household can pay incredible dividends.
Yeah, I love this. My technical question for Lonnie is like, this feels like it's really hard to do today. Like in that, like you could create a project for each one of either what she said or you said, tax advisor or CMO, whatever, upload all the context and like you'd have that person effectively, but then you wouldn't be able to like put an idea to your CMO, your customer, and your like together. You'd have to kind of individually work with each one of them, similar with your tax advisor, your investment advisor, whatever. And I think like this whole concept would be so much better if you could have them all in a boardroom effectively, and like for your board of brains and have them all take a question. So if you're thinking about buying a house, you want to hear what your tax advisor thinks, your investment advisor, you want them to like argue with each other a little bit and kind of come to the right outcome based upon each of their unique contexts and perspectives. Where here, you're still just getting kind of siloed feedback from each one of them. So I feel like there's a like technical gap in using like custom and using like out of the box Claude to solve this. And like people have solved this many times through just like using the API. There's this great video of it's like a whodunit kind of thing where there's like 5 different AIs on a train and a human, and all 6 are supposed to figure out who the human is and ask each other questions to figure it out. And like eventually they like kind of all turn on the human and figure out which one's the human. But like, so like having them all in a room talking to each other, I think would add a lot of value. And then also I think like not necessarily in like the tax advisor use case, but in Lonnie's use case, like giving them each also like a personality a little bit. Like you want one of them to be like the yes and person, like the innovator, like, oh, yeah. I love this. Let's build upon it this way. Where you want another one to be like the skeptic and like, just like I think in work, it's really good to have a diverse set of like people that come from different backgrounds that then take different roles in an argument or in a conversation. Like I think you want to build that level of, because like this could solve for some of the, like the sycophantic nature of it and could actually help you like pressure test ideas and get to know quickly, et cetera. But in general, I think like this is a great example of context engineering, which is like the hot topic right now in terms of not just kind of prompting, but thinking about like the persona and the context that you're going to put behind the thing that you're going to prompt against in order to get a different answer than you would get if you just went to generic Opus Claude's model and asked the same question.
I think about this of like having an agentic workflow though, like with N8N of like, all right, financial planning for 2026. Here's my board of brains that I need to validate these thoughts, these principles against. Kickstart this workflow from tax to finance to, X, Y, Z. Are they like, yeah, this is where it gets interesting for, households building their own agentic workflows or agentic capabilities.
Yeah. Like my point today, it's like, it's very hard to do and it probably should be easier. Someone should have a product for this, frankly, like, yeah.
Light bulb.
Yeah, but basically like you're able to walk into a digital room with personas that you predefine with context that you put against each one of those personas and do something with it, whether it's get to a decision, build something, whatever that might be. This is the future. I mean, like one of these could be an engineer that is actually writing code based on what the CMO is saying and what the customer is saying, et cetera. I mean, there's a really cool future ahead of this, and I love this use case.
we just find our next venture together, right? Live
We gotta
on air.
put the audio. We gotta go.
All right, with that, we're gonna close out. Since you had the awkward beep boop, I'm gonna close out with love from Dad AI, your personal board of advisors for parenting.
Ooh, man, that was good.